I ran after my father, and I didn't want him to go without me. And they had us in a schoolyard, and then they brought along buses, and they put us on buses. And my mother was standing outside the bus crying and pleading with the police to let me off. I went into the bus. I didn't want to leave my father. My father held on. He held on closely to me, and sort of, you know, he was rubbing my face against his beard. I noticed that my mother was crying outside and pleading with the Hungarian police to let me off. So finally, he came on the Hungarian policeman came on the bus and pulled me off the bus. And that was the last time I saw my father. This is my father, David, my mother, Malka. And this is I. Germans came into our town. They came in on a Saturday, and they gave us 24 hours to pack up the car. They put us into these cars, which were packed like sardines. You couldn't sit, you couldn't lie down. No sanitary conditions of any kind. We were in that car, I think, for 4 or 5 days. We got to Auschwitz. The railroad cars, the doors opened up. Of course, all hell broke loose. You had dogs, and the German officers had dogs, and they were hollering, "You go this way, you go this way," and that's when they separated us. This is where Mengele used to do his work. I saw chimneys with smoke coming out and a stench, but we didn't know what it was. We thought they were burning clothes. They shipped us to a place called Gusen II. They had sub-camps. These were all sub-camps of Mauthausen. I remember one young man from my hometown. They pulled him off the bunk during the daytime, and they had barrels with water, and they put in some kind of a DDT into the water, and they would take you off and grab you by the legs, threw him out of the barrel. He was all swollen. He was dead. And that was probably the worst place to be. I never thought I'd ever come out alive from there. As much as my brother worked in different shifts, I used to see him once or twice a week. We used to get together and we used to talk. He developed dysentery because he went to work with barefoot. He didn't have any shoes, and his feet got all cut up, and dirt must have gotten into his feet, and his legs swelled up. Finally, he couldn't walk. He looked like a mess. So I met him in one afternoon before I went to work, and he was on the verge of death, but he put his arms around. And he said, "Look, I'm not going to be around long, but I want you to stay healthy, and I don't want you to lose your will to live. You got to go on living, and you're going to make it. You're young." He was then 21 years old. And we hugged and we said goodbye. That was the last time. That was the last time I saw him. And that's when I had nobody left. One of those things, I don't know whether the world learned anything from this or not. I really don't. I think maybe the world ought to know what happened, and that's one of the reasons why I agreed to this thing, that it's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to tell people how we were made into subhumans.